the world's largest retailer says it will no longer give priority to
Deceptive against Walmart. The company agreeing to pay $45 million to settle that lawsuit.
Walmart, the giant, the retail giant, released
Well, Walmart says it plans to eliminate roles at its corporate office and global technology team.
Walmart against the retail giant Walmart.
We want a living wage. We want to be respected on our job.
Look closer. Beyond the comforting hum of cicadas and cornfields, a silent revolution has quietly taken place. For years, the American dream wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about cozy towns, close communities, and streets full of life. But what if I told you that beneath this seemingly idyllic surface, an invisible hand is silently at work, reshaping the soul of rural America without making a sound? It's everywhere, so rooted in our lives that most people don't even see it, even when they're living right under its shadow. You see it everywhere, from the windswept plains of Kansas to the dense forests of Appalachia. Its colossal blue and white emblem stands as an undeniable beacon. Walmart. For millions, it's a convenience, a necessity, a one-stop shop for everything from groceries to garden gnomes. But what if this convenience comes at a hidden cost? What if the promise of everyday low prices conceals a far more complex truth about power, control, and the slow erosion of something uniquely American? Have you ever stopped to wonder what really happens when a Walmart comes to town? Welcome to Truth Hub, the place where hidden realities meet raw storytelling. Ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors? Why do some stories never make the headlines? Who's really pulling the strings in power and politics? And what does it all mean for you? If you're someone who questions the surface and wants answers, you're in the right place. Stick around till the end, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see everything. Subscribe now, and let's explore the truth together. Picture this. A new Walmart supercenter breaks ground on the edge of a sleepy rural town. Excitement bubbles. Jobs are promised.
I just saw him bagging groceries at Walmart.
Imagine this. A massive Walmart supercenter starts rising on the outskirts of a quiet little town. Low prices. It all sounds perfect. But beneath that excitement, something else begins to take root. But economists have a name for what happens next. The Walmart effect. It's a force so potent, it can rewrite the economic DNA of an entire community. For decades, the local hardware store knew your name. The independent grocer remembered your favorite cut of meat. These weren't just businesses. They were cornerstones of the community, recirculating dollars locally, supporting local families, and building social capital. But against the sheer scale and aggressive pricing of a Walmart, these local enterprises simply cannot compete. It's like a David and Goliath story, but this time, David doesn't win. A small family store, running for generations, slowly loses its customers to the new giant next door. One by one, the lights go out, not just in the shop, but in the town's spirit too. When David falls, the town's heart starts to fade. Consider the town of Monette, Missouri. Before Walmart arrived, its main street was vibrant. Today, many storefronts are boarded up, casualties of the retail giant's gravitational pull. Is this progress or a silent surrender? And who ultimately pays the price for those everyday low prices? You might be surprised. Walmart's grocery market monopoly in rural towns. While Walmart sells everything, its most profound and often overlooked area of dominance in rural America is surprisingly groceries. Think about it. In many small towns, the local independent grocery store was often the last bastion of local commerce. It was where you ran into your neighbors, shared news, and bought fresh produce from nearby farms. But today, in countless rural zip codes, Walmart isn't just a grocery store. It's the only grocery store. They leverage their immense buying power, their sophisticated logistics, and their ability to operate on razor-thin margins to systematically undercut and eventually eliminate local competition. When the local IGA or Piggly Wiggly shutters its doors, where do you go? You have no choice. You go to Walmart. This isn't just about convenience. This is about food access, In many rural communities, once the local grocery store closes, the nearest alternative might be dozens of miles away, creating what are now known as food deserts. And who fills that void? Walmart. But does this dependence truly serve the community, or does it simply solidify Walmart's quiet control over one of life's most basic necessities? And what happens when your options disappear? Impact on local employment and worker conditions. When Walmart arrives, it promises jobs. And yes, it does create jobs. But what kind of jobs? And at what cost to the existing labor market?
Act against the retail giant Walmart.
We want a living wage. We want to be respected on our job.
When a dozen small businesses close, the cumulative job loss often outweighs the new positions Walmart offers. And the nature of those jobs is drastically different. Many of these new positions are part-time, low-wage, and offer limited benefits. For decades, the backbone of rural America was built on sustainable, often unionized or well-paying jobs from local industries. Now, a significant portion of the workforce finds itself in a retail giant's embrace, where predictability and upward mobility can be scarce. We've heard stories of employees relying on public assistance, despite working full-time at Walmart. Is this the economic opportunity we were promised? Does this sound like a fair deal to you? This shift isn't just about individual paychecks. It's about the erosion of a middle class in rural areas, the decline of economic stability, and the quiet acceptance of a new normal, where a single employer holds immense sway over the livelihoods of a significant portion of the town's population. Doesn't that sound a lot like control? Supply chain pressure and agricultural consequences. The influence of Walmart extends far beyond the town square. It reaches deep into the fields and farms that define much of rural America. To maintain everyday low prices, Walmart exerts immense pressure on its suppliers, demanding ever lower costs. And that pressure trickles down, often mercilessly, to the very beginning of the supply chain, the American farmer. Small and medium-sized farms, unable to compete with the scale and ruthless efficiency demanded by retail giants, are being squeezed out. They're forced to sell their products at prices that barely cover their costs, or they simply go out of business. The result? A landscape increasingly dominated by massive industrial farms focused on quantity over quality, often at significant environmental cost. This isn't just about the price of a gallon of milk. It's about the very future of American agriculture, the preservation of our family farms, and the diversity of our food system. When one company dictates the terms for such a large portion of the market, what power does the independent farmer truly have? And what happens to our food security when so much relies on a single massive distribution network? It's a question that should keep us up at night. Cultural and community changes. The economic shifts brought by Walmart also trigger profound, almost imperceptible cultural changes. The town square, once the vibrant heart of social life, slowly empties. People no longer linger on Main Street, bumping into neighbors. Instead, they drive to the brightly lit, air-conditioned world of the supercenter. Local charities, community events, and civic organizations that once relied on the sponsorship and participation of local businesses find their support dwindling. The sense of shared identity, of belonging to a truly unique place, begins to erode. We become, in a sense, a collection of consumers rather than a community of citizens. This isn't just about shops closing. It's about the decline of social capital, the weakening of community ties, and the homogenization of American culture. Have you felt it? That subtle shift where every town begins to look and feel just a little bit more like the last. Is that the price of progress, or a silent takeover of our very way of life? Store closures and long-term rural damage. Here's the truly insidious twist in Walmart's long game. They move into a town, dominate the market, eliminate competition, and then, sometimes, they leave. As retail trends shift, as larger, more efficient supercenters open nearby, or as e-commerce impacts their business model, Walmart occasionally closes its older, smaller stores. But by then, the damage is done. The local economy has been hollowed out. The Main Street businesses are long gone. The local grocery store, the hardware store, the pharmacy, they can't just reappear overnight. What's left is an economic crater, a town without a pulse, left to fend for itself in the wake of the retail giant's departure. These abandoned Walmarts, often massive structures too large for any other business to occupy, stand as monuments to economic devastation. They are tangible symbols of a community's lost self-sufficiency, a chilling reminder of who held the power and who was left behind. Is this truly the legacy we want for our small towns? What would your town do if its Walmart suddenly vanished? Policy blind spots and government failure to act.
King's Landing Walmart.
So, how did this happen? How did one company gain such pervasive influence over the economic and cultural landscape of rural America, seemingly unchecked? Part of the answer lies in a series of policy blind spots and, dare I say, a failure of government to adequately protect its citizens from unchecked corporate power. For decades, antitrust enforcement has been lax. Zoning laws in many rural areas were eager to welcome any new development, without fully understanding the long-term consequences of a massive retail chain on local businesses. And the sheer lobbying power of corporations like Walmart in Washington, D.C. cannot be underestimated. Our elected officials, often swayed by promises of jobs and tax revenue, overlook the invisible costs, the erosion of local wealth, the decline of community autonomy, and the growing dependence on a single entity. It's a systemic issue, a slow creep of control that has been allowed to flourish in the absence of robust regulation and a keen eye towards local sustainability. Why haven't we learned from history? And what does that mean for our future? Final message: what happens next? So, what happens next? Are rural American towns destined to be mere extensions of Walmart's vast empire? Their fates inextricably linked to the decisions made in Bentonville, Arkansas? Or is there a way to reclaim what has been lost? The story of Walmart's impact isn't just about one company. It's a microcosm of a larger struggle for economic self-determination in America. It's about understanding the true cost of convenience, the value of localism, and the vital role that independent businesses play in building resilient, vibrant communities. It requires us, as consumers, to ask difficult questions. Where does our money truly go when we shop? Are we prioritizing immediate savings over long-term community health? And it requires our policymakers to finally acknowledge the profound, often devastating impact of unchecked corporate power on the heartland of America. The invisible hand of Walmart has reshaped rural America in ways many are only just beginning to understand. But understanding is the first step towards change. The question is, now that we see the truth, what will we do about it? The choice, ultimately, is ours. Thanks for watching Truth Hub, where real stories come alive. I'm 15, started this channel during tough times, and do everything on my own. If you see the effort, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your support means everything. Let's uncover the truth together.